Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man sara ala sabilihi ila yawmiddin amma ba'd. So in continuing this series, we're discussing the book Bulugh al-Maram by Hafiz ibn Ḥajar al-ʿAsqalānī rahimahullah, which is a book that covers concerning a compilation of a hadith that relates to al-Ahkam al-fiqhiyya. So we had discussed the first hadith in the last session that we had, and as for today, we'll be continuing concerning these hadith that are mentioned. So we'll be discussing the second hadith that is mentioned in this particular book. So we'll read the hadith and then we go into discussing the hadith in the method that we have outlined. So the hadith it mentions, Hadith Thani, the second hadith.
The second hadith on page number 19, narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, water is tahur, purifying, and nothing can make it impure, reported by al-Thalitha.
So the author rahimahullah that he mentioned regarding the discussion regarding from the bab of miyah, those things that relates to water, that he mentioned as within this discussion the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الماء طهور لا ينجس شيء. So he mentioned أخرجه ثلاثة وصححه أحمد. So as for the system that we mentioned, that this hadith is a discuss concerning that the asl of water. This hadith is the cover concerning a topic again regarding water, and also to clarify concerning what's the asl of water, what's the origins regarding hadith water ruling. So the first of those things to clarifying, based upon what the author have mentioned, as based upon what system that we discuss concerning the Sahabi who have narrated this hadith. So as for the Sahabi that have narrated this hadith, then as mentioned there is Abu Hurairah, concerning Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. So the Sahabi that have narrated this particular hadith is Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu. So as for what is mentioned regarding a tarif, regarding knowing something about the Sahabi, then Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, that his name is Sa'd ibn Malik ibn Sinan al-Khudri. Sa'd ibn Malik ibn Sinan al-Khudri. Or so that's concerned al-Ansari al-Khazraji. So his name is Sa'd ibn Malik ibn Sinan al-Khudri al-Ansari al-Khazraji. And of those who participate in many of the battles of the Prophet ﷺ, but also they mention regarding on the first of those regarding concerning al-Khandaq. So the first of those battles that he participated in was Khandaq, as he was younger, like he missed Uhud based upon he was not of age. He missed Uhud based upon he was not of age, so he missed that particular battle. Then he participated in the battle that came after when he reached the age. So as for Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, that is mentioned to be of those who of ilm, regarding of the Sahaba who were said to be of the people of ilm, of knowledge, and also he is known to be amongst those Sahaba that was said to be of those Sahaba that are class of those who have narrated many hadiths, and we'll discuss that shortly. So as for his Sanat al-Wafat, as to when he died, there's the ulama mentioned regarding that he died in Medina, where he's buried in Baqi', and that they mentioned regarding that the year that he died, that was the year 74 al-Hijri, 74 al-Hijri. So that's concerning of those matters that mentioned regarding concerning Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. So as for the next matter to be discussed, so that's concerning in brief regarding the narrator Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, that we mention his name. So as for his kunya is Abu Sa'id, so he's more renowned for his kunya Abu Sa'id, but as for his name it is Sa'd ibn Malik ibn Sinan al-Khudri al-Ansari al-Khazraji. So as for Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, that is said amongst ulama of hadith to be of those of the Sahaba who are classed as those of the Muksirun li Riwayat al-Hadith. So he's of those who are said to be of those who have the ones, or 7 companions, who are said to be the ones who have narrated the most hadith, meaning that they are ones who have narrated many hadith by way of the hadith that they have narrated exceed 1,000. So the hadith that they have narrated exceed 1,000, so they are considered to be of those Sahaba that are classed as Muksirun, those with many narration. Also of that list, regarding concerning those Sahaba that are classed as those who have narrated over 1,000 hadith, that they are 7. So they're considered to be 7 of the Sahaba who fall into this category. The one that we mentioned previously, being the first amongst them, was Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, was Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr al-Dawsi, of those who's concerning have narrated the most hadith. Second in line is Abdullah ibn Omar ibn Khattab, So of those, Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab. The third of those is Anas ibn Malik. So Anas ibn Malik, of those who have narrated many hadith that exceed 1,000. Fourth on that list is Aisha bint Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiyallahu anha. So Aisha, and she's the only female in this group that have narrated over 1,000 hadith. Then fifth on that list is Abdullah ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Abbas, that also of those who have narrated many hadith that exceed 1,000. Sixth of those is Jabir ibn Abdullah. Jabir ibn Abdullah, also amongst those who are of that narrated many hadith. And also the seventh of those is the companion that we have just mentioned, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, who is Sa'id ibn Malik al-Ansari. So those of the Sahaba that are said to be of those who are mukthirun, those who have narrated many hadith of the Prophet of Islam. So the list in brief: Abu Hurairah, Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab, Anas ibn Malik, Aisha, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Jabir, and also Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. These are the seven companions who are said to be of the mukthirun min al-mukthirun li riwayat al-hadith. So that's concerning that matter regarding the rawi of the hadith. Then of the next matter to discuss concerning the takhrij of the hadith. So the next matter that we'll cover is regarding the takhrij of the hadith. So as for the takhrij of the hadith, then this hadith, as the author here I've mentioned, Ibn Ḥajar rahimahullah, he have mentioned akhrajahu thalatha. So based upon the terminology that he have mentioned, akhrajahu thalatha, that intent what he mean by thalatha is Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, wa Nasa'i. So those thalatha, those three collectors are Abu Dawood in his Sunan, at-Tirmidhi in his Al-Jami', and also and An-Nasa'i in his Sunan. So these are the ones who have narrated this particular hadith from Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Then also other narrators, others who have collected for that. Also the hadith is found in Ibn Abi Shaybah in his Musannif. So also the hadith can be found in the Musannif of Ibn Abi Shaybah. Also the hadith can be found also in the book of Daraqutni, and also in the book of Bayhaqi in his Sunan, and also Ibn Jarud in his Al-Muntaqa. So these are others who have narrated this particular hadith. So that's concerning the hadith, those who have narrated this particular hadith. So as for the next matter to be covered regarding concerning, we have covered concerning takhrij, but we have the masadir, some of the sources that have narrated this hadith. Also regarding the next discussion regarding the isnad of the hadith. So we have a discussion regarding the isnad of this hadith, as of one of the narrators in this hadith that was called Ubaydullah ibn Abdullah ibn Rafi'. So you have one of the narrators in the hadith in the isnad. His name is Ubaydullah ibn Abdullah ibn Rafi'. We find a khilaf between the ulama regarding this particular narrator. So you'll find that those who have mentioned that a khilaf regarding concerning this narrator who narrates upon Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. So he's the narrator that narrates upon Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. So they mentioned regarding that a khilaf between the ulama regarding this particular error, this particular narrator, where an error occurred. Where they mentioned that of those who mentioned in some narration that the name of the person is, other than saying Ubaydullah, they mention Abdullah ibn Rafi' ibn Khadij. So of those who have mentioned Abdullah ibn Rafi' ibn Khadij as being his name. So you have that discussion, as we mentioned, that others who have mentioned Ubaydullah ibn Abdullah ibn Rafi' ibn Khadij. So that's concerning that matter. Also those who have mentioned that of his name is Ubaydullah ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Rafi'. So that's also of those who have mentioned that his name is Ubaydullah ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Rafi'. Others who have mentioned that his name also is Abdul Rahman ibn Rafi'. So you have a lengthy discussion between the ulama regarding concerning this particular narrator, that what his exact name this narrator is. So a khilaf between the ulama. But of those who have mentioned his name, that as mentioned there, it is Ubaydullah. That his name is actually Ubaydullah. But there's this khilaf between the ulama regarding this person. So those who have mentioned that, because of this difference, that they are unclear, that is the person is concerned that the person is unknown. That is unknown. As mentioned by Ibn Manda, that is majhul, that is unknown. In al-majhul, that they have those who have narrated upon him, but that one person have narrated upon him, but there's no one who have mentioned anything of jar wa ta'dil about him. No one have mentioned anything for or against this narrator. So that's concerning the hadith. So you have that discussion regarding this particular narrator. As for exactly what's his name, is his name Ubaydullah ibn Abdullah, or is his name Abdullah ibn Abdullah? Is his name Abdul Rahman? Is his name Ubaydullah ibn Abdul Rahman? So a discussion regarding, or Abdullah ibn Abdul Rahman. So over 5 different names have been mentioned regarding his possible name. But what is more known is that his name is, or what is more established, that his name is Ubaydullah. So Ubaydullah, that being his name. So with that matter, that you'll find that with this matter, you find a discussion between the ulama regarding concerning that the ruling on the hadith. So you have a discussion regarding the ruling, and even before this, before the ruling of the hadith, also this hadith, that you'll find that it has come with mutabat wa shawahid. Mutabat wa shawahid, we'll find that there's other sources that are mentioned along with this hadith. So shawahid of this hadith, as mentioned, it is narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. But also you'll find that others among the Sahaba, other Sahaba, have narrated the similar hadiths. So amongst them 4. So you find that 4 other Sahaba have narrated this particular hadith. Amongst them, we have a narration of Aisha, we have a narration of Abdullah bin Abbas, also we have a narration of Abu Humama, and also a narration of Sal ibn Sa'd. So those are the 4 other companions who have also narrated the hadith. Sal ibn Sa'd, Aisha ibn Abbas, wa Abu Umama al-Bahili. So those of other companions who have narrated this bit of hadith. So of the ulama, so based upon this, and also you have other, so al-shawahid or shahid, according to the ulama of hadith, it is what is more used regarding shawahid or shahid, that is other source of the hadith. Meaning shahid, that the hadith that is being discussed, you find other companions who have narrated it. So you find other companion, other than the one who was being discussed, who have narrated this particular hadith. So other than Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, you find Aisha and others who have narrated this particular hadith, and they mention that, with this, then you find that the ulama regarding the ruling on the hadith, regarding this hadith, is authenticity or not. You find that some of the ulama have authenticated the hadith. So of those ulama who have authenticated the hadith, that they have mentioned that Ibn Ḥajar, also the ulama mentioned Ahmad ibn Hanbal have authenticated the hadith. Ibn Ma'in, as mentioned by Ibn Ḥajar in At-Talkhis. Also Ibn Malakkin authenticated this hadith. Also At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah called hadith was Hasan. Also of those who have narrated, who have authenticated hadith, al-Baghawi in his book Sharh Sunnah. Also Ibn Taymiyyah have narrated or have authenticated hadith, and others, and also his student Ibn Qayyim. So you have those of the ulama who have authenticated this hadith, and those are some of the names of the ulama and of contemporaries who have also authenticated the hadith, also likes of Shaykh Albani, who have authenticated the hadith of the ulama of contemporary, Ahmed Shakir, also Shaykh Shuaib Arnaout, and also it is mentioned that Shaykh Muqbil, also of those who authenticate the hadith, or yahtaj with the hadith, or use hadith as a proof. So those are of the ulama that after studying the hadith, that they hold the hadith to be authentic based upon that it has shawahid wa mutabat that helps to give the hadith strength. But also you find a group of the ulama who hold the hadith to be da'if. So that's concerning this particular hadith. So you find that the likes of the ulama who hold the hadith to be da'if, that you find that Ibn al-Jawzi, that I mentioned that ad-Daraqutni hold the hadith to be da'if, by mention that Daraqutni rahimahullah annahu ghayru thabit, that Ibn Jawzi have mentioned that Daraqutni, al-Naql Daraqutni, he said that the hadith ghayru thabit, or laysa bi thabit, that hadith is not authentic. Ibn Jawzi also of those who hold the hadith not to be authentic. So you have that discussion. But overall, you find a majority that align to the taking a position that the hadith is authentic by way of his shawahid or mutabat. So that's concerning the hadith regarding the ruling upon the hadith. The next of those matters is so as for the next matter to be discussed regarding this particular hadith, that regarding concerning the meaning of the hadith. So what can the meaning of the hadith? As the hadith mentioned, إِنَّ الْمَاءَ لَا يُنَجِّسُهُ شَيْءٍ, that water does not become impure by anything. Water does not become impure by anything. And Ibn Ḥajar rahimahullah, that when he mentioned this particular hadith, he mentioned just a portion of hadith. as the hadith as a story that is attached to it that was not mentioned by Ibn Ḥajar rahimahullah, but the hadith it as a story that goes along with it. So what the backdrop regarding this particular hadith, where the Prophet ﷺ, that he mentioned that what he said was due to something that was brought to his attention. So of those matters they mentioned concerning it, it was said to him by the Prophet ﷺ, قِيلَ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ, O Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَنَا تَوَضَّأْ مِنْ بِرْ بَضَاعَ, that should we perform wudu from bir, the well of Buda'a. Then he alayhi salam, وَهِيَ, then it mentioned وَهِيَ, bir, it's a well, يُلْقَى فِيهِ حِيَضَ, that حيض, things are thrown into it, وَنَتَنْ وَلْ لُحُومَ الْكِلَابِ. So it mentioned that this particular well, certain things were thrown into it. So it mentioned of those things that sometimes would fall into it and get into it. They mentioned regarding concerning al-hiyad, which is al-hiyad, is that type of thing that is used by the woman regarding when they are seeing their menstrual cycle. So regarding concerning that a piece of cloth or something to protect them regarding when they are seeing their menstrual cycle. So that's of those things that would be what they were finding that would be found inside this of well. Also it mentioned other things, and nothing regarding concerning things of filth, and also mentioned regarding concerning matters regarding kilab or luhum al-kilab, and also luhum al-kilab regarding concerning the corpus or dog skin that at times would be found inside of this well. So they ask concerning, is it allowed to perform wudu in such a well? Then he mentioned the response by mentioned in al-maha tahur, that water is tahur, la yunajjizuhu shay, that or ma tahur la yunajjizuhu shay, and that water is pure and does not become impure by anything. So they mentioned regarding that that's the reason why this answer was mentioned regarding this particular hadith, that Ibn Ḥajar rahimahullah, he did mention the story and the reason behind why this statement was mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ, but that's the backdrop regarding why he said what he said. They mentioned regarding concerning that al-bir buda'a, so this bir buda'a, that it is mentioned that it's a well that was in al-Medina, and it is mentioned that that this as well, it was in the hay, it was in like the area of Banu Sa'ida. So in Bani Sa'ida, that the well was in that area, min al-Ansar, and they were from the Ansar. So this occurred in a well that was in Medina, that was in the area of Banu Sa'ida. Also they mentioned that at time that some mentioned that it was called Buda'a based upon Sahibuha, based upon the person who was the owner or the one who found or who opened that well. So it was named after him, or named after that area. So that's concerning of the reason behind concerning that well and why it was named, that either after the person or because of the area that it was placed or was. Also of those things that they discussed regarding this particular hadith, so as to mention that in this well, that what they will find in it, these things of corpse of the animal, skin of the animal. Also, they'll find in it the things that are used by women after their cycle. So they'll find all these things that are inside of this well. So they mentioned that in the time of the Sahaba, what occurred? Why was these things found inside of this well? Why were these things found inside of this well? Of these things of filth and these things of garbage and the like. So they mentioned that the reason for this, as mentioned by al-Khattabi, so al-Khattabi in his Sharh of Abu Dawud, that he mentioned that of the reason that why this came to be, that he mentioned that at times you find concern with the flood water that will wash things down into this well of the garbage and the likes, and those things will fall into the well, and also the wind will blow things inside of the well. So these things that they came about because of things being washed into the well or things being blown into this well, and this is of the reason of that they have mentioned regarding why this occurred, where these things were found inside of this well. Then also another reason, that's of the reason that they mentioned, al-Khattabi mentioned regarding this matter. Also, as for the hadith, then this particular hadith, it's used concerning that that I discussed concerning that this hadith, that it's a hadith that is used regarding as a proof regarding concerning the proof concerning al-ma, that origins, that the original ruling of water, that it is pure. That for water, that is considered to be something which is pure until there's something to say otherwise. So that's concerning this hadith. Is to discuss concerning that the origins of water is that is something which is pure. So that's concerning this particular matter. As for the ahkam that can be taken, so that's concerning the qawaid, is that water is said to be something which is pure. That water concerned that would include concerning river water, stream water, well water, and all these types of water, that they're considered to be pure unless there's something to say otherwise. So regarding concerning that, what they have mentioned here regarding concerning that, as for this matter regarding the matter which is fiqhiyya, so the points which is fiqhiyya that can be taken from this particular hadith, that they mentioned regarding concerning that one, that water from this hadith, that based upon this hadith, that water does not, of that amount of water, does not go impure, even though these things were found inside this water. So it should, that of the hadith kind of indicate that water is considered to be pure, even though these things that are considered to be impure were inside of this water. And it showed that water, it is that water of that amount, it doesn't go impure because of these things of impurity that are found inside of it. So based upon this, the ulama, they discuss concerning that water, if it is not altered or changed by something which is impure, then the water is considered to be pure. And that ulama mentioned is ijma. So water, if something of impurity was to fall into it or get into it, and that thing which is impure hasn't changed or altered three properties, three things: the color, the taste, and the smell, then the water still remain pure. So even though the water have come into contact with something which is impure, the fact that one of these three things have not been changed, then the water remains pure. So the things, so that's concerning, so water, if it hasn't been changed in one of those three properties, then it is considered to be pure. And as the ulama mentioned that ijma of the ulama of naql al-ijma, as they mentioned, هي أن ما تغير بالنجاسة فهي so that's concerning. So also the ulama, so it become, and we discuss that matter further. But also they mentioned that if water, so that's concerning water. Also regarding concern that, and we further discuss that in the next hadith that will come after. As for water, if it is now changed by something which is impure, water have been changed by something which is impure, then by one of those three factors, the color, the taste, or the smell, then the water become impure. So if there's a drastic change by impurity, by one of those three factors, then the water is said to be najas. So if impurity get in contact with something of water and changes those three, one of those three qualities are changed, then the water is considered to be najas. And that's an ijma between the ulama. And ijma, as mentioned by Ibn Munzir, Imam Shafi, An-Nawawi, Ibn Abdul Barr, Ibn Taymiyyah, Shawkani, and others who have mentioned that if impurity changes the water, then it becomes impure. So as we have mentioned, the second masala regarding that if water, impurity, come into contact with water and does not change one of those qualities, then the water remain pure. The water remain pure. So those three things would be the color, the taste, or the smell. If water is there, but something of impurity falls into it, and it doesn't change one of those three things, it remains pure. It remains pure. With also you find ulama that they have a discussion that if something which is impure gets into water, then there's a discussion between ulama. Something which is impure was to fall into the water, then the ulama have a discussion. Of the ulama who mentioned regarding that ikhtilaf between the ulama of aqwal, but of those who mentioned that is to look concerned that those of the ulama who mentioned that water is divided into two categories. That some of the ulama that they categorize water into two types. Water by way of being a large amount of water or small amount of water. So the ulama who mentioned water, they divide water into two categories: large amount or small amount, regarding something impure falling into it. So they mentioned that of those who can divide water into large and small amount, you have Imam Abu Hanifa. There's a narration which is said to be daif, a narration Imam Malik. Also is the method of Imam Shafi, and a narration Imam Ahmed, where they divide water into large amount and small amount. As for between themselves, they disagree regarding what's considered to be a large amount and a small amount. So even though this view of the ulama, that they categorize water into large amount or small amount, but those who are of this view, they differ. They have a difference between themselves as to what is said to be a large amount and what is said to be a small amount. And that concerning what is said to be a large amount or a small amount, that they mentioned the hadith of kullatain, that water, they see water that is of large or small amount. They mentioned the hadith of kullatain, and that's of the hadith to be discussed later. So with the hadith to be discussed later regarding إذا كان ما قلتين فلم يحمل الخبث. So the hadith that will be discussed further, that they use as a proof regarding that water that is of a large amount and small amount. They mentioned the hadith that states the meaning of the hadith concerning إذا كان ما قلتين, if water is of a certain amount of measurement, then لم يحمل الخبث, it doesn't carry anything which is filth, it's not affected by filth. And I mentioned that hadith show that there's water of large amount and small amount. So that's concerning the first view, that all that water is divided into that large amount and small amount. And by this they mentioned that if water is of a large amount, then it does become impure by impurity falling into it. So large amount of water, according to the first view, if the water is of a large amount and any impurity falls into it, it doesn't change by this najasa. And they mentioned that if it is of a small amount, by impurity fall into it, even if the color, taste, or smell is not changed, the water considered to be impure. That's concerning those who make a distinction between large amount and small amount. So large amount, that large amount of water, if it comes in, if najasa falls into it because of a large amount, if it is not changed by one of those three things, it remains pure. Small amount of water, if impurity falls into it, then it becomes impure, whether the color, taste, or smell changes. That's according to the first view. The second view take the position that they do not make a distinction between large amount of water and small amount of water. They do not make a distinction between large amount of water and small amount of water. According to them, that if impurity changes the water of one of those three factors, then the water become impure. The water become impure, whether the water is large amount or small amount. The water is large amount or small amount, the fact that one of those factors are changed, then the water becomes impure, because the thing that have changed it is something which is impure. That's concerning the second view. So if the water would change to najas, impure, if one of those three factors is changed, regardless of the amount of water. That's concerning the view of some of the view of the ulama. That view is taken by Imam al-Shafi, and also a narration Imam Ahmed. So that's concerning that view amongst the ulama. That's the view amongst the ulama on that particular, the view among the ulama on that particular matter. And I mentioned many of the Sahaba and many of the ulama also are of that second view, as mentioned, Riwayat Imam Ahmed, or Imam Shafi, Riwayat Imam Malik, of the second view, is the view that is taken by Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, Ibn Daqiq al-Eid, Shawkani, San'ani. Also the view that is taken of contemporaries, that Shaykh al-Sa'di, and also Shaykh bin Baz and Shaykh Albani. So those are the views who take the view that water, they don't make a distinction regarding water being of large or small amount. The fact that the water have been changed by something which is impure, by one of those three factors, then the water become impure. That's concerning the second view. And that is, we mentioned of those who are of that view. And the second view seems to be the stronger view. Allahu Alam. The second view seems to be the more stronger view. So that's concerning what is taken from the hadith regarding al-Ahkam. Also, regarding concerning they mention regarding a next masala regarding this particular hadith, which regarding hukum izalat al-najasa bighayr al-ma, that removing of najasa using other than water. So the person has something which is najas, is the person able to clean away that najas with other than using of water? Is this? So that's concerned what is discussed between ulama. So hukum izalat al-najasa bighayr al-ma, removing, cleaning of something which is najas by using other than water. In this matter, the khilaf between ulama, they fall into two opinions. So the khilaf, a difference between the ulama, where they fall into two opinions. The first opinion, take the view concerning which is qawl al-jumhur al-ulama, أن النجاسة لا تزال إلا بما, where they mention to know that najasa, things of impurity, it is not cleansed except with water. It is not cleansed except with water. And of the ulama who have taken this view from the Jumhur, amongst them Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, a narration, and Imam Ahmed rahimahumullah jami'an, and also of those Ibn Qudamah from amongst the Hanabila. So that view, Ibn Qudamah made tarjih of that qawl in his book Al-Mughni. So the first view take the position that najasa, impurities, are only to be cleansed with water. The second opinion, with the qawl of Abu Hanifa and the riwayah and Imam Ahmed, that they all let to know it is permissible, it's allowed, that najasa, impurity, can be cleansed with other than water. So long as that thing is considered to be mahi tahir, as long as that thing is considered to be pure, as long as that thing other than water is still considered to be pure. That's the view that is taken of contemporaries Ibn Uthaymeen. So they mentioned that if the person, if something of impurity was to fall, the example of this would be if something of impurity was to fall on a person's clothing, and the person used other than water, the person used, for example, something which is pure to cleanse of that, then it is okay. That thing is okay. So the person, so that's concerning that. So mention that qawl qawi, that qawl also of a strength, that qawl, it has some weight regarding concerning that cleansing of things of filth, impurities, by way of thing which is other than water, but that thing that is being used itself also is tahir, that thing also, it is pure. So that's concerning of those masail that is discussed regarding that particular matter, regarding this particular hadith. From the fawahid that can be taken from this particular hadith, it shows concerning from this najasat dam al-nifas, the dam al-hayd. It shows regarding that from this hadith we are mentioning concerning hayda, that of the waste material or those things that are used for women, that contains concerning that al-hayd, that shows that concern that's not from the hadith, that hayd, menstrual discharge, that is something which is najas. It is considered to be najas. So it's considered to be impure. So menstrual discharge from a female is considered to be impure. And that also would include such concerning that from that hadith. Also it shows regarding concern that najasa luhum al-hayawan al-mayta. So there's hayawanat, that meat that have been killed or died other than by way of slaughtered, then their meat is haram. I mentioned kilab, so also it shows that more considered that dog meat it is najas. It is considered to be najas. So regarding concern luhum al-hayawanat al-mayta, then it is considered to be impure. Their meat is considered to be impure. Also from the hadith, it shows that the asl of water, that is tahur. That asl of water, it is tahur. So it shows that water, that by origins, that is something which is pure. So even though this water, it came in contact, this well water, it came in contact with things of impurity, but it still were considered to be pure. It's considered to be still pure, as the Prophet Islam that instructed the companions, they are allowed to use of this water, that they were still allowed to use of this water. So it shows regarding that water, the origins of it, that is pure, and the fact that this water was not changed by the color, smell, or taste of it coming in contact with these impurities, then it still remained as pure. It still remained as pure. Also from the hadith, it shows regarding the person of shak, of the person of unclear about a matter. If a person is unclear about a matter, it's for them to ask. So a person, if he's unclear about a matter, and those matters are very of importance, that affect his carrying out of certain acts of ibadah, then a person should seek clarity. So those companions, that they went back, they asked the Prophet ﷺ regarding concerning seeking of clarity regarding the use of this water, because of the circumstance that related to that particular well. So it shows regarding that the person of doubt or the person of unclarity about a matter, if for the person to return to the people of ilm. So the Prophet ﷺ, that he clarified that water is pure and doesn't become impure based upon those things of impurity that came in contact with it. Also it shows, as some narration mentioned, that the Prophet ﷺ, that tatawadda, that he alayhi salam, as some of the riwayat or some of the wording of the hadith can indicate that the Prophet ﷺ, that he used this water. So it shows that, and that shows concerning tawadu, that he is trying to clarify and his humility, that the things that the people use, also he himself also use those things. So the thing that the people generally used, that he alayhi salam also will use of that thing. So not having something separate for him and something different for the general mass. But the thing that they used, he also will used. So that's concerning the humility of the Prophet ﷺ, where he saw himself as being one of the people. And the thing that they used, also he would also use of those things. So not having something special for himself, contrary to what the people would ordinarily use. Also from the hadith, it shows regarding that this well water was still considered to be pure, tahur, based on, even though it came into contact with things of najasa. Even though it came into contact with things of najasa, based upon that it remained as pure, suitable to be used for wudu and cleansing of things, based upon that none of it was not changed by the color, taste, nor smell. So the fact the water was not changed by the color, taste, or smell, then it still can be used regarding performing of things of Taharah, of wudu, wal ghusl, and also cleansing of things. So it showed that the water still remain upon its asl, which is cleanliness. So that's concerning this hadith, and what are the points that relates to this particular hadith, some of the points that relates to this particular hadith. So as for, and also they mentioned the proof concerning linguistically regarding, they mentioned the hadith, al-mahu tahur, la yunajjisuhu shay, or la yanjusuhu shay. That they mentioned that la yanjusuhu shay is they mentioned that an nakira, which is the word shay, nothing, في سياق النفي لا. So I mentioned لا ينجسه شيء. It is النفي في سياق النكرة. So it is preceded by something which is a nafi, negation, preceded after by something which is nakira, something which is indefinite, then becomes something which is general. So the word shay, nakira, then becomes, it makes that things general. So it shows regarding that this water, that in generally it is not, doesn't become impure by coming into contact with that thing which is impure, except, as we mentioned, with exception, as mentioned by ijma, that if it comes into contact with thing which is that been changed, but by the taste, color, or smell, by way of taste, color, or smell. So if the water is changed by one of those three factors, then the water become impure. But if that thing is itself also impure. So that's concerning of those things that can be taken from the hadith. Also of the benefit of the hadith, it shows regarding that the Prophet of Islam that gives clarity using few words. So using concerning few words to explain the hukum on that water that was being asked regarding the water of the well. So it shows regarding that he alayhi salam used few words. So the Muslim regarding that if he can clarify a matter with the least of words but give a clear clarification, then that is ideal. So from this it shows regarding that these type of water that they remain pure. Or the asl of them are pure, water of the ocean, water of the river, water of springs, water of amtar, water, rainwater, well water, all of these, lake water, all of these body of water, that the rukum of those water, that they are pure. That they are pure. That's the asl regarding those matter. And nothing on water, and also water also of smaller quantity, that the asl of it is that it is pure unless the person, unless it has been changed by something which is impure. And one of those three things have been changed: the color, taste, or smell. So that's concerning. So the person have to know for sure that one of these three things have been altered by something impure, then the water becomes impure. So as we mentioned, ulama of those, so there's many adillah, as mentioned by subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding concerning Surah Al-Furqan, وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً طَهُورًا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned regarding that we have revealed from the heavens water which is pure. Water which is pure. So that's short concerning water that's origin, that is something which is pure. So all those water, those things that come from the sky, by way of rainwater, hail, snow, and these things that they consider to be pure. Also those things of the water of the earth that gush from the earth, river, sea, and these bodies that they are also considered to be pure. Water that's contained in a container or vessel, that those water becomes impure because it have been changed because it have come into contact with something which is impure, and by changing the color, taste, or smell. So that's concerning that this particular hadith of hadith, and the ulama they refer to this hadith as hadith al-bir buda'a, hadith bir buda'a, or bir buda'a. That's concerning the hadith that discuss concerning these particular matter, again clarifying matters regarding water, and this is an important matter regarding Taharah, and this also in preparing oneself for salat. So of those things the person have to understand the ruling regarding water, and what kind of water is suitable to be used and that which is not. So this concerns the second hadith that he discussed regarding this particular discussion. So with this inshallah ta'ala, that will end with this particular hadith, and we'll continue this series regarding discussing other hadiths. And in the next session, we discuss the next two hadith together, as they are very closely linked. So that inshallah ta'ala will end this session and leave it as we. So in summary, that is the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. We mentioned his name, Sa'd ibn Malik ibn Sinan al-Khudri al-Khazraji al-Ansari. Also regarding concerning that the hadith is under discussion between the ulama, but overall I find that ulama, majority of many of the ulama have authenticated the hadith based upon shawahid wa mutaba'at. So they all the hadith to be authentic. I will mention already Ahmad ibn Hanbal, that we have mentioned at Tirmidhi, and many of the ulama who have authentic of contemporaries, Sheikh Albani, Sheikh Arnaout, who have authenticated the hadith, and also that we have mentioned regarding concern from the hadith of a general principle that can be taken, that water is considered to be pure unless it has been changed, altered by something which is impure. This hadith of that has been mentioned, it clarified this matter. It clarified this matter where this water was came in contact with things of impurity, but still it was being used for purification, as al-Islam clarified, أن الماء طهور لا ينجسه شيء. So that's concerning this particular hadith that we had covered regarding al-ma. So this inshallah ta'ala will come to an end and continue in the next session discussing other hadiths that is mentioned in this book of Ibn Ḥajar al-ʿAsqalānī rahimahullah, that is titled Bulugh al-Maram. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهذه إلى سبيل والآخر دعوانا الحمد لله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.